Well, hail, hail, the gang's all here, almost. We ask all the Democratic candidates to be with us, and I am pleased to tell you that the following have accepted. I am pleased to present on our program candidates Senator Paul Tsongas, as you know, a U.S. House of Representative member in the 70s, and then in the Senate from Massachusetts. Governor, well, let's hold it, because I'll tell you what, someday I'll have 3 hours, but not today. Governor Jerry Brown of California, you know that he served 2 terms as governor, has run for president before, and also with us, thank goodness we've got a gray head on our stage today. Senator Eugene McCarthy, the Democratic senator from Minnesota who made so much noise in 1968 and 72, and many people think in more than in a very important way responsible for a sea change in political attitudes and thinking during the Vietnam War and thereafter. And finally, here's Ebenezer Scrooge. This is Peter Brown. He is chief political writer for Scripps Howard News Service and author of a book titled Minority Party, Why the Democrats Face Defeat in 1992 and Beyond. He's going to tell these thoughtful, well-intentioned candidates that they are already finished. The Democratic Party has lost the white middle class and will never get it back. You are finished. Give him your pitch. Give him your pitch, Peter.
It's really very simple. Middle-class people don't vote Democratic anymore. Consider the following. In 1980, 1984, and 1988, 85% of the electorate, the national electorate, was white. Most of it middle class or better. Since 1964, Democrats have only once gotten better than 40% of the white vote. It's really simple math. If you can't get a majority or near majority or your largest block of voters, you can't win. What's happened is that average people who used to think the Democrats made them middle class through Social Security, Medicare, student loans, don't believe the government helps them anymore. They don't think they get value from government, and they blame the Democratic Party because they think it's the party of government. It used to be different. They used to think that the Democrats gave them a government that was worth their tax money. And frankly, and that's why the book is controversial, the reality is that middle-class voters tell pollsters they think government does things for minorities and poor people, but not the white middle class. It's tough medicine, but it's true. What's happened in this country is that we've changed. 25 years ago, most white Americans agreed they had done black America wrong. They created segregation and other forms of unconscionable discrimination. It created black poverty. And white middle-class America agreed to pay compensation. That was Lyndon Johnson's Great Society. Affirmative action, welfare programs, more generous welfare programs, minority set-asides. In the 1980s, middle-class America decided the statute of limitations was over. And they no longer think that there's a reason for those programs. They think a level playing field exists. That's why there's still basic support for civil rights like voting rights, public housing, etc., but increasing questions about affirmative action. And that's why there's this big divide on racial issues in this country.
Here are my 3 straws. How's this for high tech? Just pick one. Longest straw goes first. Doesn't matter. Go ahead. Go ahead. And that one's yours. All right. You got the longest. You go first. Governor Brown, you're second.
Oh, right in order.
Right in order.
All right. Senator McCarthy.
I think that's a lot of nonsense. You know, we run these Republicans in. They ought to come in about every 20 years for 6 years or 4, and then be out. The trouble is they've stayed on. And it's not there is no middle class in America. There's one class, and there are a couple of fringe people who are rejected on both sides. The Republicans are, I've always said, Minnesota we used to, they're like the lowest forms of plant and animal life.
How's that?
They don't have much vitality at the high point of their existence, but they never die. They're like moss on a rock. You know, they turn kind of gray in the winter and green in the summer, but they survive. And Bush is the ultimate incarnation of that kind of Republican.
Okay, hold on just a second. Yes. You want, and you'll pass then to...
I'll come back to
Governor Brown, sir. Well, Governor Brown, sir. Appreciate the applause. Do not want to throw a blanket over the very real and welcome interest of this audience, but remind you that the clock is ticking, sir.
Look, what he just said is complete nonsense. It isn't poor people...
Who said this, Brown?
Brown, this Brown.
This Brown.
This book, right here.
Complete nonsense. Tell us why. Tell us why.
Well, because it isn't people at the bottom who've been laid off their jobs, who can't get a decent education, who are wrecking this country. It's Charlie Keating, who was just indicted, and all the senators that took money from him.
Yeah. And?
That's what's going on.
Right.
The Congress is bought and paid for. They've been there too long. if we could get rid of some of those incumbents, and if they weren't addicted to the corrupt money from a fraction of the people, the top fraction of 1%, the political action committees, the lobbyists, the people who are doing so well during these last 10 years, they have rewarded themselves for failure. That's the problem. And if we could just get Congress back to the grassroots, reflecting the kind of people that can't afford to give them $1,000 for a contribution, then we'd have a country that reflected our best ideals. We're getting poorer. The middle class is disappearing, not because of the folks at the bottom, but because of the incompetence, the corruption, and the paralysis of both the economic elite and their political allies in Congress that are protecting them. That's what's the problem.
Senator Tsongas.
At the risk of being a dissenter, Peter's book is half right. Because what he's saying is the Democrats have lost the confidence of the American people. But they've lost it on the basis of economics. The reality that I face and you face is, to use Halberstam's quote, the Cold War is over, Japan won. That's the fundamental reality that we face. Japan won, Germany won, Switzerland won, Taiwan won. And the reason Democrats have trouble is because you don't think that we know how to run the economy. So despite George Bush has taken us down economically, you don't believe that we as Democrats know how to expand the economic pie. So when you have this contracting economic situation, voila, David Duke, and the kind of anger that I think the book speaks to. So he is correct in terms of the Democrats seeking minority status by their policies, but my view is it's because on economics we cannot convince the Americans that we know how to expand the economic pie.
In advance of this first break, after which all our guests will have an opportunity to chat with each other, show number 10 and 11. Just let me go through. This is very briefly. We're talking about you. Whatever you think about polls, this is apparently how you feel. Watch this. Do you approve of the job President Bush is doing? In February of 91, 86% said yes. In November, only 46% said yes. This is as precipitous a drop as we've had in years, and it does buoy the spirits of the Democratic Party and would seem to put to the test the position that Peter Brown, the author of our book here, would suggest. Do you think President Bush is handling the economy well? Only 18% feel that he is. 74% said no. Time Magazine, CNN's poll. It's the economy that is the backbreaker of the would-be presidential candidate, incumbent and otherwise. Would you support President Bush or an unnamed Democratic candidate if the election were held today? October 1991, 55% would vote for President Bush. In October, only 37% for an unnamed Democratic candidate. In November of 91, that is to say just last month, President Bush had dropped to 41%. And do you believe this? An unnamed Democratic candidate would beat him? How can this be? Times Mirror Center for People in the Press. Now, all in all, do you think things in the nation are generally headed in the right direction? Do you feel that things are off on the wrong track? In March of this year, 55% of the people said, hey, we're on the right track. Don't forget, this is immediately in the aftermath of the Persian Gulf War. November of 91, only 19% said so. Said they thought it was in the right direction. Look what's happened. In March of 91, 26% thought we were on the wrong track. In November of 1991, 64% of you think we're on the wrong track. And finally, do you think blacks and other minorities should receive preference in hiring to make up for past inequities or not? Don't forget, the Democrats lose white males in droves in many recent elections. They should receive preference in hiring. 18% of you think so. And 78% think, as Mr. Brown has already suggested, that we've done all we can, and I think it's reverse discrimination, and everybody in America appears to have a brother-in-law who didn't get the job because he was white. This is a very, very heavy-duty issue as we enter the 1992 presidential race, and we'll be back in just a moment.
Home Alone, trick them every way. Christmas gift of the year. $24.98 or $5 less with Pepsi rebate. Rated PG.
Why take another cold and flu season lying down? At the first sign of a cold or flu, take Coricidin. It relieves your runny nose, congestion, and fever fast, and even helps stop them from getting worse. Coricidin D. The sooner, the better.
Here, this'll speed up the shopping.
Now just get what's on your list.
Hey, oh, Honey Bunches of Oats. It's not on my list, but I gotta have it.
My favorite.
Honey Bunches of Oats. Mom would like.
Honey Bunches of Oats is so delicious, it's everyone's favorite. With crispy flakes of corn and wheat, bunches of honey roasted oats, it's the cereal your whole family will love.
Oh, I forgot the Honey Bunches of Oats. I don't think that's a problem.
Honey Bunches of Oats, the one cereal your whole family will love.
FIM, the Christmas giant, has everything for Christmas. Natural like trees, lights, trim, wreaths, garland, animation, wrapping paper, candles, decorations, ceramic houses. And so much more at guaranteed lowest prices, like this 35 light set, only $1.39, or this deluxe 100 light connector set, or C7 large size bulb 25 light set with full year guarantee. Your choice, $5.99 each at FIM, the Christmas giant. Now in Fort Wayne on Coliseum, across from Memorial Coliseum.
Adjust your clock, synchronize your watches. It's big savings time during Carpet Now's incredible 12-hour sale, one day only this Saturday from 9 to 9. Already Fort Wayne's low-price flooring leader, Carpet Now is slashing prices even more on carpets like DuPont Stainmaster and So Worry-Free and Scotchgard. Major sale prices for 12 action-packed hours on all carpeting and ceramic and vinyl flooring. Plus, Carpet Now offers 6 months, same as cash. Take your carpet with you or arrange to have it installed in time for Christmas. It's Carpet Now's incredible 12-hour sale this Saturday from 9 to 9. Industrial Road behind Big Sur Waterbeds.
How do you feel about what these candidates have said? Mr. Brown, briefly, sir.
Well, I mean, clearly the candidates are trying to explain how they offer a better alternative to the American people than President Bush. But the polls that show President Bush has dropped are real. One of the things I say in the book is that the one way out for the Democrats is if the Republicans have a very deep recession. Whether this will be deep enough, who knows?
So it's not just a recession that's going to allow you to win. It's got to have a big... We're looking for depression here in order you guys to have a chance.
You notice nothing he says has any moral compass to it. It's all, how do you win? Tactics. I mean, that's the trouble with politics. What does the party stand for?
But the high roaders have lost, Governor, in the past. The high roaders who really told you the truth, Mondale, who said he'd have to raise taxes, lost. I love the high road, and I want my epitaph to say I took it, but it's also going to be the grave site of a loser.
Hey, wait a minute. Maybe Mondale was wrong. Did you ever think of that?
That you don't have to raise taxes?
Well, he certainly didn't have to raise them when he was talking about it. No, I think he was wrong, as a matter of fact.
So you're going to do the same thing Reagan and Bush did. You're not going to raise taxes, but you're going to make life better for the American people.
When my father was governor of California, he built a $2 billion water plant. He didn't raise taxes. He had long-term bonds, and the increased wealth paid it back many times. If you're investing in new technology and better schools and better roads and high-speed trains, the increased wealth will generate the revenue to make a more prosperous society. The trouble is we're wasting money in a totally wasteful medical system, a totally wasteful energy program, and a totally wasteful private vehicle system. If we could just get back an elegant, innovative economy without taxes, I believe we can grow our way out of this mess.
Listen, we can have it.
Well, go ahead.
I don't agree with Jerry that the Congress is that bad. You have to have a Congress which is given some kind of leadership and help. You can't have a Congress that operates against the threat of veto at all times. And we've had some very constructive Congresses when I was there. It slipped a little since, but I was there 22 years, and we raised taxes, we lowered taxes. The national debt increased from $250 billion to $370 in 22 years. We paid for World War II. We paid for the Korean War. We established Medicare and Medicaid. We kept inflation at 2.5% and unemployment at about 3%. And it's the same society we had then we have now. It's just there are a few things we won't do.
It's not the same society we have
It is. The
now.
economy is just as viable
First of all,
now.
you didn't have first of all, you didn't have Japanese making a better car than we have.
Well,
and you also didn't have cheaper wages in third world countries and Taiwan and other places.
Well, we didn't let them in.
So you're a protectionist then? You'd like
absolutely. So is Thomas Jefferson.
So stop this.
The American Revolution was a protectionist revolution.
All right, let's not let those Japanese cars in America. Then you're not going to be able to sell Boeing airplanes abroad.
But it seems to me that history has shown what protectionism does. I mean, we went through that many years ago. The way you beat Japan, two ways. One, you build a better product, and then you say to them, fair trade. None of this nonsense. Under Bush and Reagan, what they used to say to the Japanese was, you support us against the Soviets, and you can have everything else. So we should not be surprised they took everything else. So all these trade practices that they engage in are a result of those policies. But you cannot forget, I think Governor Brown is correct, you have to invest. Ultimately, you have to have a better product. You have to do the R&D. You have to educate your people, train your people. If you look at the polls today, there are two major issues. Am I going to have a job? And can I afford health insurance? Those are the driving issues. If the Democrats can speak to that so that people have confidence in what we're talking about, George Bush has no program. George Bush is a foreign minister. He visits occasionally to the United States to see what's going on.
Well, right. The problem is that the Democrats are, in the eyes of middle-class voters, are not to be trusted with the economy. That's not my view. That's what polls show.
You're exactly right.
And the reason is that for the last generation, Democrats have been seen as spending tax money as if it's monopoly money. And until Democrats convince the American people that they can run the economy, also they need to convince the American people they can be commander-in-chief and that their values resonate in middle-class suburbia. Because the difference between when Senator McCarthy was running for president is we are now a suburban country. Suburban America is different than urban America. The suburbs are intrinsically less democratic. You can't run an organization like you used to. People in suburbs think about individual solutions to problems, not collective solutions like mass transportation, which is what was done in the cities. In the suburbs, you drive. And the individual approach, for better or worse, and again, I'm a newspaper reporter. I'm just writing a book about what you people think, not what I think. For better or worse, Americans favor individual approaches as opposed to collective approaches. That's America in 1991.
Well, wait a minute. We had a collective approach, and it was called the savings and loan scandal. And a week ago, Congress had to vote $100 billion to clean up the mess that its campaign contributors created. That's the problem. That Congress is bought and paid for. And I'll just give you an example. No politician will pay attention to anyone unless they can get $1,000. That's the minimum tariff for most fundraisers. Jerry. How many people in this audience have ever not given $1,000 to a politician? I want you to raise your hand. How many have not given $1,000? You have no chance of ever being heard because politicians spend all their time raising millions of dollars from people unlike you. And that's the problem. They're running the country for people unlike you. And until we change that, nothing will ever change.
Governor Brown actually supports my argument. I ask you the following question. Who controls Congress?
They don't control Congress.
The Democratic Party controls Congress. The Democratic Party controls Congress, and that's why Americans don't trust it.
The lobbyists control Congress. The money controls Congress. Charlie Keating controls Congress. Those congressmen are puppets, and you know it. And don't blame poor people for what a bunch of corrupt politicians are doing. That is immoral.
What I'm suggesting is this is a Congress in which 3 out of 5 members are Democrats. They've controlled Congress since the 1950s, with one 6-year exception in the Senate. That's why Americans don't trust the Democratic Party. I'm not making it up.
Would you support term limits to get rid of them?
Listen,
I'm a reporter. I personally happen to support term limits.
So do I.
And I think it's the worst idea since the balanced budget amendment.
Let's get back to the...
Let
me tell you, you do get to speak here.
I do.
If you put a limit on my term, I'm ready for you on this one. If you say that if I run and I win, and how many terms do I get in the House?
Hey,
3?
3 is
Can I have 3? All right, 6 years in the House. In my last year in the House, I'm going to lunch with every lobbyist that ever took me to dinner because I'm going to need a job in another year and a half. And I'm going to start selling out like mad. I'm already politically dead. What does it matter? I'll never be more powerful than I am now. I sit in the House of Representatives. And in another year and a half, I'm finished. I got kids who have to go to college. I'm going to give away the store in order to get that job when I'm finished in politics.
Only one little problem. Why is it that every time they have a term limit measure on the ballot, all the lobbyists and the special interest groups put money into defeating the term limits? Because former congressmen, former politicians are the lobbyists who are buying the politicians.
Got a point.
And this is a country where we think ordinary people can run the country, not a bunch of professionals.
Senator McCarthy, sir.
Get rid of those guys.
Well, why don't you just pick them by lot?
Well, that happened in Athens.
Well, I didn't
We couldn't do any worse. We couldn't do any worse. You know, that's not a bad idea.
You worked through a process of saying, let's improve government with the federal election law. That didn't work. They said, let's reorganize Congress. That didn't work. They said, let's have a code of ethics. That hasn't worked. Now they say, let's limit the term. And the next stage, if you do that, you're going to turn the government over to the executive branch of the government, to the staff of Congress, and to the bureaucrats. The American Revolution was not funds from George III. The founding fathers didn't say, look, George, we got a little action going, and we'd like you to kind of match it. It was financed with large contributions. George Washington, John Hancock, Governor Morris, even Lafayette. And we've honored them ever since. We've been grateful to them. Now we say, you know, Richard Nixon got $2 million from Clement Stone. Everyone says, isn't that terrible? Think of the influence Clement Stone will have on Richard Nixon. Any outside influence on Nixon was bound to be good.
Now, let me understand your point, Senator.
What did you want?
You don't want any campaign limits to come.
I don't. That's right.
You don't. So, in other words, it's a matter of free speech. If I'm a millionaire, I ought to be able to give $1 million to you.
That's right. If you're a millionaire, you can spend $1 million on your own campaign, so why couldn't you give it to me? Let me speak for you.
You know, it's not a bad point. You know, you pass a law and you're going to have 7 offices, in baskets, out baskets, computer printouts, and all the rest.
That's right.
For example, you won't take more than $100, right?
Right.
All right, I'm going to give my sister $100, and she's going to give you, now I'm giving you $200. And I tell you what, I got a cousin lives down the street, and I'll just put it in his bank account.
If people are going to be crooked,
well, it's not crooked. It's about, you can't enforce these. This is a typical Democratic approach. You want more laws, more restraints,
and you get more laws.
Well, you certainly want a limit on campaign contributions.
Let's get back to this other thing. The congressmen, when we started, didn't have 12,000 staff members to get them elected. They didn't have big political action committee war chests. They didn't send out frank mailing computer letters to press everybody's hot button so they get elected. They didn't do chores for the savings and loan crooks to keep them in power. I mean, we've got a system down there that is wrecking this country, and if we can't open it up, we're done.
Do we have Governor Brown's agreement that Charles Keating is a result of both the Republican and Democratic Party members of Congress?
Precisely. That's my point.
Okay, now just one more point before we leave. Senator, you want to say? Senator Tsongas commenting.
Well, this is all very interesting.
Boy, we hope so. Yeah, go ahead. However,
where are the jobs? This is great. There are people out there who are going to lose their job today. And what they want to know is, where's the economic future of the country? Whether you give $1 million, $100, if you don't have a plan that says to the American people, here's hope. Here is hope. You can provide for your family. You can provide health insurance for your family. Ultimately, what they're going to look at us and say to themselves, does this person know how to bring back the economy? George Bush is in trouble because there's no plan. We're competing against countries that have resolute will. They have economic game plans. What's our game plan? Good luck, guys. Go out there and compete and let me know how you do. And if we get lost in this discussion, I happen not to take PAC money. And I've made an issue of it during this campaign. I feel strongly about special interest PAC money. But ultimately, you're going to have to put on the table, here's the plan, this is where I want to take you. So the American people can look at that, make a judgment, and say to themselves, does that give me hope? Do we have a future? I think what George Bush has done, and Ronald Reagan, $3 trillion of debt. That's where it gets paid for. And the hope
But they voted for him.
They voted.
This audience voted for this. Ronald Reagan, he's our man. He can fight the commies if anybody can. And everybody got a job building the B-1, the B-2. Now we're going to build 4 of those, $850 million a copy. We can't afford to get off this nipple called military spending. And it worked for 10 years. It succeeded for the Republicans.
It sure did. And I'll tell you,
it worked.
It worked in terms of politics, not in terms of the country. Senator Tsongas talked about medical care. Right to our neighbors to the north have a system. They pay $500 less per person, and they cover everyone, and most of the people using it are very satisfied with it. Why don't we have that? Because the medical insurance companies and their allies gave $60 million to Congress to make sure we don't get that system. There is a connection between the money, the payoffs, the corruption, and the system where we're suffering no medical care, no economic strategy, and B-2 bombers instead of B-2 bullet trains. It's all tied together.
Are you endorsing the Canadian system?
I'm endorsing a system model on that with a single payer, yes.
And we'll be back in just a moment to hear from Senator McCarthy. We'll be back in a moment.
This holiday, McJohn 1 Hour Photo makes memories better. We don't just sell you a camera in a box. We'll show you how it works and explain all the features. Plus, with every McJohn 1 Hour Photo camera purchased, you'll receive over $120 in bonus processing free. McJohn 1 Hour Photo will match any advertised price on our large selection of brand name cameras and accessories. This holiday, see the professionals at McJohn 1 Hour Photo. We make memories better.
The Village at Coventry, conveniently located, no parking problems. These are just a few of the friendly people who would enjoy making your Christmas shopping easier. Let's Party, the trendy party paper and balloon supply store. The Rustic Hutch, with a select grouping of collectible Santas, some featured in Colonial Homes magazine. Summit Bank, home of the Every Tuesday account. Even the world's foremost authority on gift giving recommends the only village, the Village at Coventry, US 24 at I-69.
Name's Noah, that's all, just Noah. You know, I never get one of anything. And now Kroger's got this buy one, get one free sale. Better hurry. It's gonna be a big one.
This week, save up to $52 on buy one, get one free items. Plus, get special savings on USDA Choice Boneless Shoulder Roast, $1.49 a pound. And fresh sun-kissed navel oranges. An 8-pound bag is only $3.99.
9 different waterbeds, one low price. It's a waterbed special purchase from Big Sur Waterbed. For a limited time, $249.99 buys the Country Fair, the New York, the Sedona, the Amarillo, the Hanover, the Chantel, the Pine Bluff Daybed, the Austin, or the Balboa. Ask about no payments and no interest till next June. Big Sur Waterbeds, America's largest, 430 Coliseum West, just west of the Glenbrook Mall in Fort Wayne.
To be part of the audience, please send a postcard to Donahue Tickets, care of NBC, 30 Rockefeller Plaza, New York, New York, 10112. Remember, postcards only, please.
We are now on the eve of what may be the most important presidential election of this century. And as we approach 1992, not a few whispers are coming from some of the big shots in business. 92 could be very bloody in terms of jobs. I think really it's very possible. You don't want to write this down. This is not a controlled study, survey, research, computer read art, anything like that. I think that there are a lot of companies out there waiting until after Christmas to fire a whole lot of people. And as we move then into the heat of this election, what will move us and what lever will we pull? And may I just make this one point? Mr. Brown, sir, the suburbs are determining presidential elections. And I have to accept your point. But they are doing so against a growing underclass in the major metropolitan cities in this country that are largely made up of people of color. So we've got the suburbs determining who's president, and we've got the real agony of an underclass that are hopelessly doomed to a future where they will not be able to compete in an increasingly complicated marketplace, making this worse and worse. Now throw in racism, and this is an incendiary problem that America faces in its immediate future. Is there anything I've said that overstates the case?
Not at all. You're absolutely right. The problem is that my book is not about policies. I'm not running for office like these gentlemen. My book is about why it's happening. And the truth is the suburbs now dwarf the cities. There are more votes there. For the first time ever, a majority of votes will be cast in the suburbs next year.
Right. And the suburbanite is saying, I don't have it so good. I don't have it so good. Why should I? Not only that, the money I sent them is being wasted. So get out of here with your increase in taxes. And I'm going to vote for the guy with the best rhetoric. Senator Tsongas wanted to say.
It seems to me that the notion that suburbanites are Republican does not take into account that suburbanites are human beings. And if I'm a suburbanite and I feel the ground shake beneath me economically, I don't care about Republican, Democrat, liberal, or conservative. I want a job. I want someone who can say, Phil, let me ask a question. Does anybody in this audience know, if I said to you, what is George Bush's economic battle plan so we can compete against Japan and Germany and Taiwan? None of us know what it is. Does anybody here feel comfortable to get up and say, this is where George Bush is going to take us, and we think it's a great battle plan.
Well, Phil.
Senator McCarthy, you get to speak even though you do.
Yeah, I don't really go for all this more stuff. We're overfed now. We're 20 pounds overweight on the average. The Japanese are 4 pounds underweight. We're over-transported, we're over-fueled, we're over-defensed, we're over-advertised, we got too much television.
We don't have too many talk shows, however.
Yeah, almost too much talk shows.
And your point is?
My point is that what we ought to be talking about is not more jobs or more work. We're overworked, most of us, is a redistribution of work in this country. So that the 90% who are now working more than they should.
2 jobs, some of them.
Yeah, and the 10% who are out of work ought to be reabsorbed. We haven't done anything about that since 1938.
Would you cut back the work week?
Surely I would.
You would? 4-day work week?
Well, you can do it the week, or you can do it the month, or you can do it the year.
Spend more time with the kids, have more leisure.
Have time in the morning to send them off to school. And meet them
you lose productivity, and then you're there maybe not.
So what do you want to produce? You know, it's like Jimmy Carter. You know, you could just live on lust in your heart. You don't have to do anything.
I don't know.
You could put
more time for that. I see.
Put a speedometer, you know, that says 80 miles an hour when you're going 60.
Yes.
Let me get back to this. This more stuff is all wrong.
More.
Yeah.
The Army's too big. The what? Everything's too big.
Over-defensed. Overfed, over-transported, overworked.
So you want to be leaner and meaner and cleaner and...
well, just kind of a revolution of...
Yeah, leaner, okay. That's
revolution of moderate expectations.
Well, no, that's kind of moving in the right direction.
Well,
yeah, we're over-defended, our defense budget's too big, our medical budget's too high, and we're paying twice as much for energy as the Germans and the Japanese. So yes, reallocate hundreds of billions of dollars that are now wasted in totally inefficient ways of doing things.
Reallocate work.
No, reallocate spending to the new technology, the new tools that our workers need to compete with Japanese workers that are getting paid more.
Right. To manufacture what? To manufacture what?
Fuel-efficient cars.
At what price?
Fuel-efficient cars, energy-efficient housing, lights that don't burn up so much nuclear power, and foreign oil and coal that destroys the atmosphere. We have to live in a way that is compatible with the environment itself and other living things.
And this is going to create jobs.
That will create millions of jobs because you have to invest in high-speed trains, fuel-efficient cars, better lighting, retrofitting houses, more efficient refrigerators. Yeah. That is the economic task. And if we do it, we will be leaner and we'll be more elegant and more innovative.
Got a real live voter here.
If you cut the defense money and you spend it on something else, how do you get this? You give up jobs and that kind of thing in the Defense Department.
Right.
How are you going to then replace those jobs, and where will they be replaced?
We're going to build bridges and mass transit.
Going to do that?
Yeah.
What are they going to do?
Well, let me suggest the strategy has to be for this country the same as Japan's. If you want to live well, you must produce well. That was the MIT study. Manufacturing is the domino. When we lose manufacturing jobs, the whole thing begins to collapse. You cannot have an economy based on banks and service industries and real estate and tourism. The engine that drives this economy is manufacturing. So that means you take some of your defense money, you put it into Head Start. So you have an educated workforce. You put it into the National Science Foundation. So you can have scientists doing basic research that create products down the road. Let me give you a statistic. George Bush and Ronald Reagan came into power. Of the 5 leading companies getting patents in the United States, 4 were American, 1 was German. Now, the 5 largest, 4 Japanese, 1 American. Our children have no future in terms of the jobs that they deserve if we lose this technological edge. That's what's happening. Right. And the Republicans sit there with their laissez-faire attitude, take the money from the Defense Department and start doing basic research in commercial products, some of them that Governor Brown talked about, so we can compete long term.
And we'll be back in just a moment.
If you're tired of hunting for your vacuum cleaner's attachments, get the new Dirt Devil Upright. It's lightweight, easy to use, and all the attachments are built right into the vacuum. So you can clean everything from floor to ceiling and edge to edge without stopping to find a thing. And because it's a dirt devil, it's packed with plenty of cleaning power. So stop hunting for your attachments. Get the new Dirt Devil Upright, the all-in-one cleaner that cleans it all.
I soak my dentures and use mouthwash, but sometimes I use toothpaste and mouthwash, but sometimes
Wait, all you need is denture cream. In just 90 seconds, denture cream gets dentures nearly twice as clean. Plus, it has minty mouthwash ingredients to freshen dentures. All you need is denture cream.
Cleaning toilets is a lousy job, so I invented 2000 Flushes Blue to help you. It's loaded with detergents, cleans and deodorizes automatically, up to 4 months. Try my 2000 Flushes Blue or green. Cleans your toilet with every flush.
Be sure to shop your nearby Scott's Food Store, where you always get more for less. Like USDA Choice Round Steak, now only $1.69 a pound. Your satisfaction is guaranteed, or double your money back. Stock up on the great taste of Sprite, Mellow Yellow, Tab, Barks, Classic, and Diet Coke. Get a case of 12-ounce cans for just $4.89 with coupon. There's no doubt about it. You really do get more for less at Scott's.
Ah, winter's here. You can feel it in the air.
Ready, go to sleep.
Oh, I can't sleep. How can you sleep knowing it's coming back again?
I can't. I was pretending, you know.
Hey, I'm just guessing, but I think it's going to be bigger than ever this time.
I think you're right.
I don't want to miss it.
Oh, don't worry. I set the old alarm on.
What time?
7 a.m.
Hey, you think it's going to be big this time?
Oh, humongous. Oh.
Hey, what's that? Oh, we were here first. You wait your turn in line.
Don't miss it.
It's big. Oh.
They were the best of friends during the worst of times. As the bombs fell and America plunged into war, nurses and servicemen fought to save the lives of their companions and loved ones, while forging bonds of friendship and love that could never be broken. Now, 50 years later, best friends who survived Pearl Harbor are brought together for an emotional reunion on the next Sally.
Sally Jesse Raphael, Friday at 10 on 21 Alive.
We're pleased to feature on our program today Senator Paul Tsongas, Governor Jerry Brown, and Senator Eugene McCarthy, all of whom are presidential candidates, here in the company of Chief Political Writer for Scripps Howard's News Service and the author of Minority Party, Why Democrats Face Defeat in 1992 and Beyond, Peter Brown. As George Bush sustains this dramatic drop in the polls, and as we enter the 1992 presidential election year, there is one looming figure over the horizon that has everybody buzzing and talking and wondering, will he, won't he, can he, should he? Here he is.
If you go beyond December 20th, then you'd have to do without New Hampshire. I don't think that would be a good thing. I would like to be able to run in New Hampshire if I run.
Do you think this process is boring people?
Excuse me? If it's boring people, it's not because I bought time on television to talk to them about it.
Phil.
What?
You're a Catholic. You play that Catholic line, don't you? Remember how many times Peter denied Christ?
3.
Yeah, and he made him head of the church.
What's the point?
Well, the point is that I have inside information. If he'd done it 4 times, he would have been out of there. And Cuomo has denied us 5.
So therefore,
he's scratched.
Upon this rock, I will not build my Democratic presidential election victory.
Right. Yeah, we go to the scripture.
I assume you feel the same way. We may have just a brief comment. You don't want to even talk about it, or
no? I want him in this race because the fact is that when you talk about economics, which I think is the critical issue, I think he has a very good economic battle plan. I don't particularly like what's going on in terms of this on again, off again, but I think the critical job for the Democrats is to demonstrate we know how to bring back the economy, and his economic program, I think, is actually quite good.
Let me make
just let me add to the governor's observation.
They're together. These guys are all saying the same thing.
Well,
let me hear him.
No, I'm saying something very different. I say it doesn't matter whether Cuomo comes in or not. He's part of the old structure, the corrupt money, and the reason why the reason why I'm taking only $100 is because I want the American people themselves to control this campaign.
Now, the old structure.
Wait, Gene, just let me finish.
This is the old structure you're talking about. I wasn't in that. That's the intermediate structure. The old structure I was in was not corrupt.
Wait, I just want to finish the one. I'll acknowledge that. That was a while when the place was working. It's not working now. In order for people to really be a part of this, I'm inviting them to join what I'm calling an insurgent movement. And if you'll just let me, call 1-800-426-1112. And that's the way you can join an insurgent movement. It's 800-426-1112 if you want to take back your politics. I can't think of a better way to do it. And all these wait a minute, the $1,000 money, the $1,000 money, which all these candidates are depending on, totally excludes the people in this audience. And that's its vice. It's not embedded in the people themselves.
I know you have a point you want to make, Peter Brown, author of Minority Party, Why the Democrats Are Going to Get Clobbered, or something like that is what he's saying. It's a whole book. And it's being well read, I assure you. Here's 35, Brian. How many voters are white? Voters. What percentage? What percentage of voters are white?
90%.
75.
More than that.
85.
It is about 90.
87% of all voters are white. Look at this.
90%.
8% are black, 3% Hispanic, and others 2% Asian and other. Mr. Brown, Peter Brown, the journalist, the profession we love to hate, is stepping forward to say that white middle class feels that the Democratic Party caters to black people. Bleeding hearts. Give them more money. When my parents came to America, they couldn't even pronounce their names. We're from Eastern Europe. They had a name like an eye chart. People threw stones at them. And they pulled themselves up by their bootstraps. And they made a job for themselves. And they went out and raised their families. How come? And nobody gave them any welfare. Nobody gave them any welfare. This is what you think of the Democrats. And this is why they can't win in '92.
Oh. You can't argue with numbers. The numbers are there. Democrats haven't gotten better than 40% of the white vote other than once since 1968.
Yeah.
It's not a coincidence.
And then here comes...
Wait a second. Liberals say voters just don't understand. If they only understood what was going on, they'd prefer Democrats. Whether they do or not, I don't know. Again, I'm a journalist. These men are candidates. But the reality is that the Democratic Party has told the middle class that if they just understood better, they'd vote for them. And middle-class people have been walking away with their feet. They don't trust the Democratic Party.
But it's made worse by Willie Horton.
Peter, the point is that when you ask the question in the poll, even today, they ask the question, which party is the party of prosperity, we lose. And we lose because we have no viable economic program. The Willie Horton that you just raised, you think the average person does not know what the Willie Horton ad was about and does not find it repulsive? If you divide this country, we cannot compete.
A lot of average people were influenced by it and voted.
I want to say something about this is the problem with the whole rotten system. People are talking about tactics. This is not a problem of tactics. Wait a minute, Gene. Just give me 30 seconds.
Well, you had 30 seconds. Go ahead. Say it again. Say it again.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Governor. Make your
point. Well, my point, it's very different than what they're saying. We rebuilt Europe with a Marshall Plan. We knew how to do that. We know how to do it here. They have the list on how to get this country going. They know what it is. They can't do it. The Congress, the President, the entire incumbent Washington operation...
They are paralyzed. Why?
They're paralyzed because they're doing the bidding of the privileged few, and they're not serving the grassroots of this country. That's why it's not working. It's just that simple.
You want... I haven't taken any phone calls. They think this is a communist plot. And the music means we got to break here, and you get it first when we come back. All right. You'll call me a liar if I don't give it to you. We'll be back in just a moment.
Make your family's holiday season extra special with thousands of great gift ideas from Value City Furniture. Buy this Kraler soap and love seat for $698. Get the matching recliner free. Mama love a beautiful cedar chest starting only $128. A great selection of desks are priced to make Dad smile, like this flat top desk starting $148. Any girl would love this open stock bedroom starting $68 each piece. Canopy bed only $98. Wood rocker $38. Quilt rack $18. Spectacular store-wide savings during the Red Hot Holiday Sale now at Value City Furniture.
Don't miss Walgreens' fabulous 1-cent sale this week, just in time for the holidays. Buy one item at Walgreens' regular low price and get the second for a penny. Selected boxed greeting cards, 2 for $7. Christmas light sets, 2 for $5. Beautiful gift wraps, 2 rolls for $3. And so much more. Walgreens 1 cent holiday sale ends Saturday.
This farm has been producing milk for County Line cheese since 1920. I was a boy back then, and I can remember that milk used to taste so fresh, and you can still taste that freshness in County Line cheese today. It's 100% natural. Being a dairy farmer, you just never get a day off, except one.
From Touchstone Pictures, behind every beautiful bride-to-be stands a frantic, freaked-out father. Hey! A father who's just not ready to let his daughter go. No, I'll just... This Saturday night, see Steve Martin in the sneak preview of Father of the Bride, rated PG. Then, stay and be our guest for the movie Siskel and Ebert have declared an instant classic. Disney's Beauty and the Beast, rated G. Come for Father of the Bride, stay for Beauty and the Beast. This Saturday night, check newspapers for theaters and showtimes.
To be part of the audience, please send a postcard to Donahue Tickets, care of NBC, 30 Rockefeller Plaza, New York, New York, 10112. Remember, postcards only, please.
Mr. McCarthy, sir.
Am I on?
Yeah.
Well, I'd say I was for national health insurance when I ran for Congress in '48. And we were for the beverage plan, which is about what the Canadians have. But what I want to say is the problem is not corruption in this country, it's stupidity.
You make your point.
Well, it is. Just generally, the sort of thing we're doing. I fought the federal election law to the Supreme Court. Now people are saying, we're not going to take PAC money. We're going to take matching funds. I won't take matching funds. I think the worst system is to have the government financing the process by which the government is chosen.
So you're against...
Against public... And the Germans have had the trade advantage because we've been paying their defense costs. And what we ought to do, and if you look at the imbalance of payments between us and the Germans and Japanese over the last 10 years, it's roughly half of our defense expenditures. So what we ought to have had, what we need now, is a defense import duty. Yes, that's right. The victors usually collect from those who were vanquished. The second thing we ought to do...
We protected them with our own hard-earned income and taxes in order for them to get strong and compete with us and beat the pants off us. I get it.
We give them about $150 billion advantage right now because of the defense costs.
Right.
Now, the second point is we've got a $4 trillion debt, and where did it come from? The last 10 or 11 years, because certain people weren't paying taxes. Or 10% of the people in this country now own, control 70%. The other 90% control 30%. So it's better to have it in the debt than if we'd had inflation. You say, there's $4 trillion, and you guys have got it. You 10%. And what we ought to do is have a capital levy and take about $3 trillion.
Take it from the rich.
From the 10% who are super rich, and apply it to the debt. Every one of you has got a debt, a taxpayer's got a debt of $40,000 now. You opened with a $40,000 debt. It's all in, and you pay $2,000 a year as your share of the interest we're paying.
Okay.
To the 10%. Now, if you want to preserve that 10% with $4 trillion debt, and with them having control of $12 trillion while another 90% control 4, why, good for you, but I think that's stupidity. That's not corruption.
Can I just get a couple? Are you there, caller? Hi, we don't have a lot. What do you think?
I'm voting Republican.
Because?
Because I feel that the Democrats cater too much to the black community. Why should we give them any more? I think that we've given them enough.
Are you there, caller? Hi.
Hello, good afternoon.
Yeah, briefly, please.
Briefly, please. United States and the American people.
Yeah.
Corruption in Congress.
It's easy to say.
Corruption in Congress is not the point. Corruption is rampant in the Electoral College. There are no free elections in the United States. In 1980, 50% of the people voted, and a Republican declared a landslide victory. There was no call for a recount. There was absolutely nothing done. This is no longer a free country. Someone else is running it. Perhaps it's 10%, perhaps somebody else.
Are you there? Hi.
Yes, I'd like to remind everybody that Bush...
I'm sorry, didn't mean to not... Yeah, we shouldn't... Are you there?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, we shouldn't blame George Bush. What?
For the economy being so bad, we also have a Democratic Congress. And
yeah.
Just,
so it's everybody's fault.
George Bush.
Right. Are you there? Hi. Let me get one more on. Go ahead.
Yeah, hi, Phil. Since the Republicans haven't taken care of the high unemployment and high taxes,
What are they as Democrats going to do about it?
Simple, just get in and go. Summit transmission, get in and go. Service done wrong, done right, out of price and I lie. Keep it simple. Well, the smooth and quiet ride is simple. Get into Summit, get in and go. Just get in and go. Summit transmission, just get in and go. Get in and go.
Celebrate the grand opening of 3 new Rogers locations, Castlewood Center, Maplewood Plaza, and New Haven. And celebrate with savings like Mountain Dew, Dr. Pepper, and all varieties of Pepsi-Cola. 24 12-ounce cans, a low $4.99. Limit 2, please. Plus regular and diet Mountain Dew, Dr. Pepper, Mug Root Beer, and all varieties of Pepsi-Cola. 2-liter bottle only 97 cents. Or take them home in 12 12-ounce cans for just $3.29 at Rogers Friendly Markets. More convenient than ever before.
Friday, Saturday.
It's more than a sale.
It's the biggest holiday event in Carpetland's history. This Friday and Saturday, every carpet is 50% off. Every Zephron color and style, 50% off. Every Remington area rug, 50% off. Plus, get pad, labor, for no extra charge. And get up to $200 in Toys R Us gift certificates free with purchase.
It is more than a sale.
50% off every carpet, pad and labor, no extra charge. And free Toys R Us gift certificates. This Friday and Saturday only at Carpetland USA.
No.
Yes, ma'am, you wanted to say.
Senator Tsongas, I'd like to know, if you were elected president, what would be your solution to the healthcare major medical industry?
Oh, my. Nothing would please me more than to give you a chance to answer that, Senator. But can I? It isn't fair because I'm afraid it would take, yes.
Hard work won't slow us down. We need to not cut back on work, but do more work, as someone just said.
Yeah, that's what everybody said. Yes, yes, sir, you wanted to say.
I think we need to create high-tech jobs like the Japanese are doing, and not McDonald's and, Mick jobs like we have.
Yeah. How do we do that? Yes, yes, ma'am.
The education president hasn't done much about education. I hope you're going to do a better job this election.
Yes.
I think our next president is a but it's going to be somebody with a goal for the American people and not the foreign issues so much.
You've got, you have the floor, gentlemen. Anybody?
I'd like... Go ahead.
I got a slight mechanical problem here. Somebody got my 800 number wrong, so I'm going to have to repeat it.
Oh.
Wait a minute.
No, this is it. Go ahead. Can I give my address?
Go ahead.
1-826-1112. Thanks.
How about Box 22, Woodville, Virginia?
I am 43 years old. I have 3 grandchildren and 1 on the way. And I tell my grandchildren that they are Americans, but I would like them in which they can grow up believing that and have an opportunity to survive and grow healthy, viable, working Americans.
Yes, so would we all.
Phil, I think we should tell the people that when you're dealing with George Bush, if you read Peggy Noonan's book, she said that when she wrote speeches for George, she said, don't use the pronoun I. George doesn't like to say I. He really likes to... is that you can't blame George Bush because there's no George Bush.
Phil,
Senator Tsongas.
I'd like to give you a number, too, not for your money, but I think you have a right to know what we stand for. And we'll send anybody a copy of this and our health care program. The number is 1-617-422-0100. And you don't have to send money, but if you feel necessary to send money, feel free to do that as well.
And I don't think there's anything wrong with their sharing this number. This is America. What, you want another law now that says they can't have a number? These candidates accepted our invitation. Hey, who's hurt? We'll give you those addresses again for everybody in just a moment.
Your local Olds dealers presented automobiles so durable, so reliable, that value-conscious car buyers who take the time to test drive the 1992 Cutlass Sierra will probably buy one. And when they learn that 96% of all Sierras sold since 1982 are still on the road, and that they can purchase a Cutlass Sierra for just $11,755 with all this equipment, we know they'll be sold. It's the power of intelligent engineering. Cutlass Sierra, now at your local Olds dealers.
Adjust your clock, synchronize your watches. It's big savings time during Carpet Now's incredible 12-hour sale, one day only this Saturday from 9 to 9. Already Fort Wayne's low-price flooring leader, Carpet Now is slashing prices even more on carpets like DuPont Stainmaster and So Worry-Free and Scotchgard. Major sale prices for 12 action-packed hours on all carpeting and ceramic and vinyl flooring. Plus, Carpet Now offers 6 months, same as cash. Take your carpet with you or arrange to have it installed in time for Christmas. It's Carpet Now's incredible 12-hour sale this Saturday from 9 to 9. Industrial Road behind Big Sur Water. Please,
don't panic.
Biggest carpet sale of the year is here. Clark & Mitchell is closing out over 200,000 yards of carpet and no-wax vinyl at 50, 60, even 70% off.
I'm Bill Mitchell. I have plush carpets that could sell for $20 a yard for the carpet only. During this sale, you'll pay only $8.99, and that includes installation and free pad.
Plush carpets, sculptured carpets, Berber carpets, everything's on sale with free pad and installation included. Plus, during the sale, make no down payment, pay nothing for 6 months with no interest charge. This sale ends soon, so hurry to any Clark & Mitchell location.
And Mozart. You'll hear thrilling overtures, haunting sonatas. In fact, every well-known symphony and concerto ever written. Plus, you'll get this outstanding and the greatest hits of the 17th century, both absolutely free. Magnificent collection would easily cost $30 or $40 if purchased separately. But thanks to this special promotional offer, it can be yours for only $19.95. Please stay tuned.
To this prestigious collection of 5 records, 5 cassettes, or 5 compact discs, use your credit card and call 1-800-257-1257. That's 1-800-257-1257. Or send $19.95 for records or cassettes, or $29.95 for compact discs, plus $4.50 postage and handling to A Treasury of Golden Classics, P.O. Box 8250, Atlanta, Georgia.
This is CNN.
Good morning. CNN Overnight continues. I'm Dave Michaels in Atlanta. The U.S. is preparing to remember the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor that thrust the nation into World War II. President Bush arrived in Hawaii